Hello and welcome to Rust Locker. I'm just bombing about in my Aerodeck, getting jobs done. So anyway, I'm going to be working on the Civic again in this video. I'm going to be trying to do something a little bit more cosmetic with the car, just to try and neaten it up a little bit, make it look a little bit less tatty from the outside. Obviously, it is a bit of a rust box. This is Rust Locker, but I haven't got money for resprays, haven't got the space to try it myself yet. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be working on little bits and pieces, trying to get the most bang for my buck, trying to improve the look of it from a few feet away. So one of the things that I really do want to get done that really looks terrible is the window trim pieces on the doors. So in this video I'm going to be popping them off, sanding them down as best I can, and then respraying them. I'm going to do it this way. It's the cheapest way to do it. It's not going to be the best way to do it. Obviously the best way would just be to buy new window trim pieces, but this is a over 20-year-old car, 25-year-old car nearly. Getting second-hand window trim pieces for it that are in good condition is pretty much impossible, and brand new ones from Honda, if I could even get them, would be ridiculous money. So this is the best option for it, and should only cost about 20 quid in paint, hopefully. So anyway, let's crack on with getting these window trims sorted. So one thing I really want to sort out is this window trim. As you can see, it's pretty knackered and crusty. All the rubber is flaking off of it. So I'm going to take these off. I'm going to sand all this rubber crap off, and then I'm going to repaint them, and hopefully that will make a big improvement. And also, as you can see, there's a lot of moss and greenery that is starting to grow on the other side of those window trim pieces. So this is going to be a good opportunity to get all of that gunk out of there and clean these out. Same on the other door. Got some sort of ecosystem growing. So luckily I don't have to take the door card off for the rear. Behind this trim here, or behind this rubber, is some screws which undo for the trim on the outside here, and that's going to help us get to the rest of the trim. Okay, so you've just got to peel back this rubber a little bit, and there's a couple of screws there, and there's another screw up behind here, and a little rubber bung there. So I'm going to undo those. Now they're only tiny screws, very small, so don't lose them. Now you have to pull this rubber bung thing out that holds the rubbers in, like that. And then that will allow you to get behind there to that last screw. Now I'm working right out on the road here, so I do apologise if there's a lot of traffic. I'll try and record at quiet times. So once those screws are undone, you can come around to this side of the car, and hopefully I can unclip this. There we go, nice and easy. That comes out like that. Which leaves us this to undo. Now there's a grey clip underneath there, and then there's little clips on the runners underneath here. So just need to lever this up really gently all the way along, and try and ease it out of those clips without bending this. So I've got a plastic tool. And I'm just going to get this under, kind of ease it along very gently so as not to bend it. once you've got it up a little way, you're going to be able to see just little blue tips of where the clip is. Don't know if you can see that, or can see just a little tiny blue clip thing sticking out. And you kind of want to ease the tabs down. It's difficult to explain. Okay, and I actually broke one of the clips there, but you can see here, these are the blue tabs that kind of keep it down. And you can see there's the clip that holds it. So you kind of have to ease this up whilst trying to poke down that clip from inside. So it's quite difficult to do. So that's one broken, but oh no, two are broken. But anyway, that's this off. As you can see where the clip's now broken, I might have to get some more of these. So that's it, so now that's off. I'm going to give this a clean, give the window a clean, and take off the front one. Same thing for the front door, 1, 2, 3 screws and a little grommet behind the rubber. Okay, so on this side this is being a little bit more tricky, there's more clips in there, so I'm just having to lever this off as well. Okay, so I managed to get this off. I broke a clip and I broke it off of the actual trim piece, so I'm hoping that the screws are going to hold this down tight enough. If not, I might just have to glue it, but essentially there's no way around it other than trying to lever these out and pray that they don't break. So there's that there. If I put a little dollop of glue just on there, just as it goes back, and screw it all down, hopefully it'll go back. So same thing on this side, I think. Just going to have to lever this up all the way along. So it's like once you've eased out this sort of first corner clip, the sort of V-shaped clip, it's a bit more easy then to just walk along it with your metal, walk along it with your plastic spludger thing and try and ease those clips up. I've been using this little hook to try and get under there, just to clip that plastic, there we go, like that. So yeah, I've broken one clip again. I think a lot of these clips are going to break. Right, it's down in the shed now, so I've got the two window strips, or window trim strips, whatever you want to call these. So I've got to get all this crusty, crappy rubber off as much as I can. The problem is, actually, some of it is just rubber. I think it's mostly metal, but the edges are rubber, so I might have to just blend the edges as best as I can. But anyway, whatever I do, I think is going to look better than this. So I need to clear this table off and then I'll get to working on these. Right, so I've got a lot of the crusty stuff off just by sort of running a sharp Stanley blade down the edge there and kind of cut most of it off. The rear kind of came off, it was all coming off anyway, but I managed to get it off fairly cleanly. There's a few chores out of it, but the driver's side, or the front door trim, however, has actually got like some really good rubber that's proper stuck down. That was underneath where the wing mirror is, so obviously the moisture hasn't got to it as bad. So this is stuck down really well. It's not flapping at all. What I'm going to try and do is kind of blend the edge as best I can to make it less obvious that it's just paint and then rubber. But seeing as this is under the wing mirror, it doesn't really matter that much. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to sand these edges, try and blend them in as good as I can, get all this surface rust off of the chrome piece, clean up the moss and all the crap that's on the back, and then hopefully we'll be able to get to spraying. So it's coming along nicely now. The problem is that from the way this feels, that the edge of this rubber lip is, I mean the edge sort of this trim lip is actually still rubber, so it feels like it's a piece of metal encased in rubber. Yeah, so you can see the back there, it's got a bit of rubber strip on the back as well. I want to try and keep that, I don't want that flopping about. So I'm trying to just blend the edge but keep the edge glued down, if that makes any sense. So as you can see here, I've got a little bit of like a last little bit of flappy bit here, and then here it comes right tight in with the bevel, so that it's got a lot smoother. Having a really hard time describing this, but you can see what I mean. So the best technique I've found for that is to actually sand in an upward sort of direction like that, and that just gets the little flappy bits off but leaves like quite a clean edge. So there, and you can feel it's so much more of a sort of a smooth transition to that rubber piece. So hopefully I think this is going to be as good as I can get it without completely stripping all the rubber off. Right, well they're as good as I can get them in the time that I've got available, so I think I've done a pretty good job blending in the rubber lines. So I'm going to hit it with some high build primer, try and get it mostly in the metal area, just to build it up a little bit more. Hopefully I'll be able to fade it in. So right, well, let's coat one, leave that to dry and come back. Okay, so this high build primer is actually doing quite a good job of blending the difference of sort of depth between the rubber and the metal bit. As you can see, that's where that rubber bit was still stuck on. I've kind of blended that, it's not too bad. When I paint this black, it's probably going to look worse because black shows up all the imperfections, but compared to how they were, these are going to look fucking awesome. What I've done with this was just give it a lot of coats of that primer, probably like 10 coats. Do one coat, let it dry, come back, another one, another one, another one, probably about 10 in total. So I'm going to call it a day with the primer. I don't think I can get it any better with the amount that I've got left in there. So I'll be hitting this up with the black next when this dries. Okay, so got a few coats of black on. I'm almost out of black paint, so I might do one more coat just to be sure. Let that dry and then I'm going to fit them. Okay, that's going to have to do it. Right, so I'm just trying to clean out that green crap that was all down the edges of the windows. But it's really difficult, and you know when you have a fish tank and that green shit starts to etch into the glass, well, that's kind of what's going on. But it's a hell of a lot better. I'm not going to get it perfect, so this will do. So now that that's all as clean as I can get it, we'll go and fit the trims back. Some of the clips, one of the clips is broken, well a couple of them are broken, but I've just lined it up and I'm just easing it down, and then it clips back in like that. Putting them back on is a lot easier than taking them off. So that looks a ton better. So I'm just editing this video together now, and I don't know if you could hear from that last clip, but the wind noise and the traffic noise is really starting to pick up. So the next few clips are pretty much inaudible because of the wind. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to voice them over and explain what I'm doing on the video. Okay, so here at this point here, I'm just commenting that it's not a perfect job, and you can still see the sort of the line where the old bit of rubber meets the new bit of paint, but it only sort of looks bad if you get up close, and from a few feet away you can't really notice it. But if you're going to do this job, then you can use like body filler maybe to blend the line and then sand that down, and before you paint it, and then it's probably going to look even better than I've done it. So here I am just about to fit the front door piece of trim, and a little bit more tricky because you can't just slot it directly down. You have to kind of poke the front edge underneath the wing mirror, and then ease the rest of the trim down. And obviously remembering all the time that these pieces of trim, if you bend them and kink them, they're only thin metal. If you bend them, then they're going to have a kink in them and you'll never get them straight again. So you have to be really careful to sort of like guide it under the mirror and then evenly press down across the rest of the trim to make sure that it actually all seats in those clips. So I'm just pressing it down, just gently moving along, trying to make sure that it all sort of gets pushed down evenly. Obviously I've got a camera in one hand. It would be even better if I could have used two hands. So once it's almost down, I'm just running along and just making sure that it's tight and it's clipped into those blue clips. And then putting the rest of the trim back is the same as how it came off really. You put those door pillar pieces back on, you redo up the screws from the back, and then you put your rubbers back around the doors. It's not that complicated really once you know where the screws are. So now that those door trim pieces are back on and the rubbers are back on, I close the door and admire my handiwork. And I tell you what, it has made a hell of a difference. Obviously there's plenty of other rusty parts to start fixing up on the car, but you know, we've got to start somewhere. And just to remind you quite how disgusting these window trims were, here's a before photo. And here's an after photo just to show you the difference there. So big thank you if you've made it all the way through to the end of this video. Big shout out to you. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you on the next one.